I think just reflecting on it, like, I think it's interesting the more you live in the faith, you start to remember things better from your past and stuff and see it in a different way. And I remember, first coming to the faith, I would very much think about what I believed in, and I still do to a vast extent. But it's just funny listening to this, reflecting on that personal relationship with God, that friendship. Some of my first memories when I was 4, really young, and I remember it was Christmas Eve, and it wasn't snowing, and I was like, oh, how can it not snow on Christmas Eve? This doesn't make any sense. And I said, right. I went to the window and I prayed. I was like, God, this is not right. It's not snowing. Can you please make it snow? And immediately just came blizzard with snow. I remember remembering that, and I think I had this quite a sweet relationship with God. It's funny, these stories, I don't think I've even told you some of them. I've told you some of them, but sometimes they're so deep and personal, you forget about them. I'm sure everyone has these kinds of experiences. And I remember another one, I was in the garden, I was like 5 or 6, and I just had this awareness, this kind of experience. I didn't kind of set it as a time of prayer, but I just kind of knew that it felt like God said to me that this world you're in isn't your home, that your home's in heaven or something. And it's kind of, I kind of was trying, just reflecting that. I'd have times where I'd reflect on things and stuff quite deeply. But then, I moved around a lot. We had lived in France, experienced lots of different things in the world, and came back. I started to love science, and I think just the world, I just became so lost. Very unfortunately, one of God's beloved children just got lost, and I was kind of an atheist for 8 years, but during that time I was still really hot about my atheism. So it's kind of if somebody were to ask me, if you had a time machine, where would you go? I'd say crucifixion. I just want to know, is that true or not? And I was actually very passionate about knowing the truth, but I think I had this sadness where I kind of just accepted it wasn't true. It just couldn't be true. So I didn't hate the faith. I said I'd be a Christian if it was true, but I just was sad. I just believed it wasn't true. So I guess deep down I was thinking, oh, he wasn't really there, when he touched me in a deep way when I was younger. But then he came as the Good Shepherd, and I had this experience where I said, Lord, my conversion is because of a prayer, which is quite interesting. I just said, Lord, I know I won't like the truth, but just show me what it is I need to know. And he just changed my desires. I think he gave me a virtue of maybe diligence with the truth, and more of a humility, just because it wasn't my opinion, and I started to realise that I didn't know very much, and quite quickly, came to believe in the resurrection, and then the parable of the lost lamb was the parable where Jesus really converted me. And I think since then, just having having that relationship again of sweetness that I had when I was really young, and but then it's funny now. I think I'm getting to the point where it's really drying up. So I think I am going through a time of dryness, but I still really love Jesus.
What if I may ask, what made you think that? Because this could be helpful for other young people. What was it behind the idea that Christianity wasn't real? What led you to that?
Lots of things. I think actually I started to sin. So I think that actually has a huge effect on our ability to recognize the truth, because we become quite warped. We start to mistake what we want to be true with what the truth is. And we start to conveniently avoid things that would challenge it. But I wasn't fully aware of that. But then it was also the 4 horsemen, the call of the apocalypse of atheists like Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Daniel Dennett, Christopher Hitchens. I loved science, and I realised most of the people that were scientists who were public scientists were atheists, who were agnostics. And I started to realise, well, wait a minute, I couldn't have my answers questions answered by my parents, who came to faith in quite a charismatic way through a lot of miracles, quite similar to what I experienced when I was a child. And I just started to think, well, how do you know it's like historically true and all those kinds of things? But I was a 14-year-old, so I guess I wasn't. This is how the atheists get you. They have a great way with words, and they give this they seem intelligent. Oh, I'm a scientist, I know what I'm talking about. Well, actually, if you look at what they're saying, it doesn't make sometimes any logical sense. If you actually put it out and test the logic, you're assuming something there, and a lot of circular reasoning and stuff. But 14-year-olds they're not trained in logic, so they don't see that. So actually, it was studying mathematics later on that actually unraveled that. So I started to doubt my own atheism and realise, oh wait, I think I was duped into atheism. So yeah, that's how
I think Pope Pius XII, he talks about that, how behind all the great science is God waiting at the door or something.
Yes,
Pope Pius XII has a great quote on that.
That's so true. Yeah. I think especially in mathematics as well. Yeah.
Is it not also true that the founder of the idea of the Big Bang was
Georges Lemaitre? Yeah, he was a Catholic priest. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Church fathers are great as well. Studying the church fathers really help you. Like people that wonder. I spoke with an agnostic atheist woman this morning, and she had bit of a presumption about. She had a bad experience with Christianity in America for Southern Baptists. That's what she was raised in. She had a hard time, and we had a really good conversation. I said, look, you study the early patristics, Polycarp, Justin Martyr. That's how smart these men were. And these men knew the apostles. So you just look at what they wrote, what they studied, and realize, this isn't just some big, we just believe for no reason. It's like, no, some of these people were the smartest men to ever live. Augustine, Aquinas.
And not only the smartest men that ever lived, but they were willing to die for what they believed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and die happily as well.
I was listening to a talk just yesterday, and I think it was an agnostic or atheist lady talking to a Christian, and the Christian was explaining to her some miracles of God, and she couldn't accept it. And he said, well, isn't that evidence? And for her, it just wasn't evidence. And he said something quite good in the end. He said, just because you don't believe it's true doesn't mean it isn't true.
Yeah, so, very good point. Yeah. I remember because it depends if you're ready to accept it or not. I helped with this priest. He asked me, hey, do you want to go out evangelizing? So we used to go around to the park and just approach people. He was a neo-catechumenal priest, and they love evangelism. And we approached this guy, and we said, hey, do you want to hear about Jesus Christ? And he said, I'm a Satanist, and Elon Musk will save us all. That's what he said at the beginning. You're like, okay. But then he really oddly really warmed up, and he was saying, "Oh, sorry, I'm just being polemic, and I'm an atheist and all that kind of stuff." And then we asked him, we just explained, we just talked about Eucharistic miracles, and his jaw was dropping. It was like, and he was writing all this stuff like websites and stuff, and he was completely ready to hear it. But I guess a lot of people just don't know.
I've always looked at all these Eucharistic miracles and appearances of Mary as, I call them signs of God's mercy. But there are some people who would not believe otherwise. There are some people for whom it's not necessary. Without that, they would believe anyway. But there are some that, unless they see those kind of things,
they didn't believe Jesus. Jesus came and they were like, no, thank you. So it doesn't surprise me that people will see these. Our Lady of Zaytun, a recent miracle of the Coptic Church. She was there for over a period of years, for several weeks. Hundreds, thousands converted, especially Muslims at the time.
Yeah, when I read the Old Testament and see the Israelites being pulled out of Egypt, the way God did with the pillar of fire and all of this, I wonder how the people around him didn't go, okay, I'm going to go over there to that.
Yeah, why would they do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great mystery, isn't it? Why do people